Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Throwback Thursday. Now on Sunday we got some very tragic news that actor Anton Yelchin, one of my personal favorite actors, died tragically in a car accident. Now Anton Yelchin was in a ton of great movies. Some of my favorites including the Star Trek movies, Terminator Salvation, Odd Thomas, Fright Night, Alpha Dog, and of course my favorite, which I'll be reviewing today, Charlie Bartlett. I felt it was appropriate to sort of use my Throwback Thursday, not necessarily as a way to bring attention to myself. That's not what this review is really meant to be. It's more of a tribute to Anton Yelchin because he was one of my probably one of my most favorite actors. He was super young. He was literally a year older than me, so it kind of affected me in a way that I never really thought about. You know, when someone dies who's so close to your age, it's something that sort of affects you. And it definitely affected me, especially because not only is he close in age to me, but like I said, he's one of my favorite actors. I love him in just about every film that he's done. Unfortunately, I have not yet seen Green Room. I'm hoping to soon. But this video is a tribute to Anton Yelchin and my favorite movie of his, which happens to be Charlie Bartlett. So Charlie Bartlett came out in 2007. Well, it was made in 2007. I don't think it was officially released until 2008. But it stars, obviously, Anton Yelchin, Kat Dennings, and Robert Downey Jr., and the film was also directed by John Pohl. So on to the story of Charlie Bartlett. Charlie Bartlett is about, obviously, a boy named Charlie Bartlett, who is a pretty wealthy kid. He dresses up in, like, not necessarily a full-on suit, but he always wears, like, a jacket all the time. He has a briefcase as his backpack. He went to many, many private schools, which he's gotten kicked out of for petty crimes. Now this is his first time being in a public school, so the dynamic is completely different. He has to struggle with fitting in, trying to find out really who he is, trying to find out where he fits in the dynamic of school despite his optimism and trying to be friendly with everyone. And so basically what happens is that he ends up sort of confronting the bully of the school because he gets picked on by this bully. So in a way he confronts him and makes a deal with him. And they go into business together to sell prescription drugs to the kids at school. Not only that, but Charlie Bartlett sets up sort of a confession-style, like psychiatric sort of office in one of the school's bathrooms to listen to kids' problems. They come in, they tell them how they're feeling, what they're thinking about, and then he sort of prescribes them a drug, and then the bully gives them the drug after they pay for it. So then Charlie ends up meeting Susan, played by Kat Dennings. Now, he almost immediately falls in love with Susan, her charm, just like them talking to each other. And then we ultimately find out that Susan's dad is actually Robert Downey Jr., who also happens to be the school's principal. And let's just say that there are quite some interesting and pretty dramatic dynamics between that triangle. It's really not a love triangle, I would say, but in a way it is, between Charlie's love for Susan, as well as Susan's dad's love for Susan. And there's several times where Charlie and Nathan, the principal, clash, and they sort of butt heads, and you see it throughout the movie. I don't want to necessarily tell you because I want you to see this movie, very desperately, in fact, because it is my favorite of Anton Yelchin's. But I feel like there's much different dynamics that happen that sort of make them butt heads and bring a lot of friction into this whole dynamic of Charlie and Susan, as well as Susan and Nathan, the principal. So there's a lot of butting heads, and it makes for a very interesting dynamic. The reasons that I love Charlie Bartlett are immense. Like, there's so many different reasons why I love Charlie Bartlett. The reason I think it spoke so much to me when I first saw the film and why I love it so much is because I was a teenager in high school when I first saw this film. So there were a lot of, not necessarily issues with like prescription drugs and like all that stuff, all that overdramatic stuff that happens in the story, but there's just certain aspects about fitting in that sort of spoke to me. I personally have never really felt like I've fit in anywhere, especially in high school. You're trying to figure out who you are, you're trying to figure out what you like, trying to figure out what you're going to do with the rest of your life when you're 16, 17, 18 years old. But just the interesting fact of how Charlie sort of tries to fit himself in these different areas and the way he sort of self-realizes that what he's good at, although it may not in this dynamic of the story be necessarily legal, is like talking to people, is trying to help other kids. And what also spoke to me about this film is that everyone has their problems. Everyone in this film has a problem, not necessarily like a big overarching villain or something that they have to overcome, but just life in general as a problem. And Charlie listens to these problems despite him having his own problems. As a way to deal with Charlie's problems, he listens to other kids' problems. And I think that's kind of interesting. And I kind of consider this a modern day Breakfast Club in a way, because obviously it's set in a high school, and every single person has a problem. Everybody that comes to Charlie has a problem. The most popular cheerleader, the bully, the popular girls, the jocks, everyone has an issue in their lives. And Charlie sort of helps talk to them about those things, confession style. Now, what I also found interesting was that the principal, who is Susan's father, Robert Downey Jr., also has a ton of problems. And I think that's what makes it so interesting, because everyone has their problems. And that's kind of eye-opening, because you don't really think, you're always in your own head, so you don't really recognize somebody else may be having a problem. And they can put on the perfect facade and let you know that they're happy, things are going great in their lives, even though on the inside everything is completely shattered. Or they're constantly having their mind on maybe a problem at home, or a problem at school, or social issues that they're sort of concerned about. Am I fitting in? And this movie kind of tackles those things in a little bit of a fun way, with Charlie's confession style, talking to kids and prescribing them prescription drugs. Obviously that's over dramatized, but the way that it's done really helped me when I was in high school. Like I said, I didn't do drugs or anything like that, but it helped to realize that I'm going through all these different changes, and so are these other people. And although they're different changes, we're all sort of the same in that aspect. We're trying to figure out where we fit in to this whole dynamic of being in a social environment. And it's tough, but this one really sort of helped me figure that out. It helped me recognize that other people are trying to also figure themselves out. And it just felt good to know that you're not alone. And that's sort of where I compare it to Breakfast Club, because the bully has problems, the jock has problems, the weird kid has problems, the popular girl has problems, the burnout has problems, the principal has problems. So I consider this sort of a modern day Breakfast Club, although the stories are completely different. Just that aspect of recognizing that everyone has problems at home, at school, but they try and make the best selves that they can and present that so that you don't know about their problems, even though things may be happening on the inside. And I think that's super, super powerful for this movie to have discussed, especially concerning around prescription drugs at the same time, because prescription drugs have been a problem, especially in public schools. And tackling sort of both issues at the same time was very interesting to me, and that's probably one of my favorite reasons why I love this movie so much. I absolutely love all of the themes of this movie. The performances were absolutely amazing. Robert Downey Jr., pre-Iron Man. It was nice to see Robert Downey Jr. pre-Iron Man, because he's not as arrogant and cocky as Tony Stark in this role. So it's sort of nice. Even in Sherlock Holmes, he still kind of has that persona. So to see him take on something a little bit more dramatic, but also in a fun way, it really shows his range. Kat Dennings also does an amazing job. We usually see her in funnier stuff. She does funny in this as well. But she also gives a dramatic performance and some like internal issues, problems with her dad, things like that that really are, again, show range. She did an amazing job. I wish she would do more range setting things instead of being more of the funny girl as she's sort of presented in movies now. And of course, the man of the hour, Anton Yelchin, hands down a brilliant performance. Every aspect in his performance of Charlie Bartlett is absolutely amazing. He does the perfect balance of ugly things that are happening maybe on the inside, things that he's insecure about, problems that he's having at home, but presenting this facade that everything is squeaky clean and he's just trying to do his best and he's a friend with everyone, which he is a friend with everyone, but the fact that he's able to do so and sort of help himself by helping others, help him with his problems, get away from that by helping others with their problems, is absolutely an amazing performance from an amazing actor who was taken far, far too young. I love the film Charlie Bartlett. I think everyone should see it, especially teenagers. It's got a ton of great themes. Obviously, the theme about selling drugs in school is maybe a little bit controversial. It may not be like the subject people necessarily want to hear about. Obviously, it has to add a little bit more drama, a little bit more flavor to the story to make the whole dynamic of the story interesting to people. But I think it's just such an important story with a sort of subtext that kids can understand and identify with. And I think that's pretty important, and especially given the performances and how they're portrayed. I would easily, again, set this alongside Breakfast Club as sort of identifying with different people and trying to figure out who you are in the world. And I think that, like I said, again, it's super important for people to see, I think, as well as especially important for teenagers to see. Guys, please seek out and watch Charlie Bartlett. It's a phenomenal film, amazing story, amazing performances, and please give a moment of silence to an amazing actor, Anton Yelchin, who is gone far too soon. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Like always, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos, and we'll see you guys in the next one.